we're vulnerable to all of this because when we sort of denuded ourselves of a lot of armory. The prevalence in America, I mean, worse actually than in Europe nowadays, the prevalence of identity as being the main issue in politics, and basically viewing politics in particular as being a me-centric thing. You know, that political truths come from you, the individual, and then go outwards. This, by the way, I think, is a really lamentable as well as intellectually dishonest development. It means that, you know, if you're a woman, you have to always look at everything as a woman. If you're gay, you have to look at everything as a gay. If you're black, you always have to look at things as black. And it's actually exactly the opposite of what most of us had hoped we were getting to, which was that we were sex blind, gender blind, you know, color blind, and that we would be beyond all this by now. And instead, we seem to have hurtled backwards. And I think that I'm not a member of the political left, as it were. I'm not a particular member of any such entity, but I don't care about, as it were. I mean, a lot of people who are on the left worry deeply about the left, and they worry about their own positioning on it. Not my tribe, not that I need a tribe, but this makes it... The American left in particular is just in this horrible, horrible situation, and it's not far off where the European left is, and they think that everything to do with the Islam discussion is off limits because, other than praising it, because Muslims are a minority, Islam is their religion, and then there's a whole pile of ones on top of that. You can't ignore the fact that there are significant sections of the left who find the Islam bit to be politically useful. Before 9/11, the remaining sort of hard left in Britain had been organising meetings in the top room of pubs, speaking to four men and their dog about the coming revolution. You know? And it's possible that around that time they started to think what everyone else knew for decades, which was the whole thing was a crock. It wasn't going to work, and it had failed everywhere they tried it. But if your whole political identity is based on the idea of revolution and struggle and fight and endless fight and campaign and so on, and you're stuck speaking to almost nobody, it could have a demoralizing effect. And then you campaign on the same thing, anti-imperialism, destroy the state and so on, and you find yourself speaking to a larger, growing number of people, albeit from a different demographic, then you could find this politically useful. And there were politicians in Britain and elsewhere who, as I say, having had no audience for a long time, found they had an audience. And so that's a bit of it. When people say, how can these people be in coalition with these people? When, you know, how can well, because sometimes they're after the same things, and that thing is a form of revolutionary politics. And then there are the people who, you know, I always say that quite often with the rights struggles, which our countries all went through over recent decades, a normal, sane person sees the rights struggle as having been accomplished, goes home. But there are always people left on the barricades, and you can't help noticing, not to be ungenerous, they tend to be the people without homes to go to, tend to be the sort of wastrels. And these are the people left on the barricades. But then the movement shifts again, and suddenly there's a popularity in kind of revolutionary ideas or politics, and it's those people who are in charge. And people are, you know, indiscriminate in their choice of allies, in their choice of friends. And it's been a very strange period from that point of view. But this is by the way, it's something I go into in great depth in my book, but all this is also built on a number of things, which one of which is this obsession with the guilt of the Western mindset these days. The obsession with our own past. Basically, the great thing about that is that if you're guilty for everything, you don't have to be interested in anything. You don't really have to look at anything in any detail, you know. Something blows up in Kandahar, and you don't really have to find it on a map. You just say it's because of our policy or something. That's what huge portions of the left, in particular, spent the 9/11, post 9/11 period doing. Well, those people have always got a shock. I mean, this kind of masochism, as I think of it, will always find a problem, as all masochists do someday, which is what happens when they meet a real sadist. And these people have the opportunity within the House of Islam to have found a real sadist who says, you think you're guilty, awful, bad from the start. Sure, we agree with you. And but this is, as I say, these are the problems of the left, which is, in my mind, has stopped doing any real thinking. Now, anyone sensible, to my mind, would realize that might be because the left's wrong, but which is not to say that the right is right, but that some of the foundations of the left thought are wrong, and draw some inferences from that. But obviously, a lot of people, it's their identity; it matters to them. They don't want to let down their tribe, their tribal beings.